Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
3 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here to join us. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. This show is simple. It's a show where we celebrate the things that we love. Movies, movie news, TV and streaming, all that kind of good stuff. And that's how we're going to start off today's shows. We're going to be talking about a bunch of topics. And then in the second part of the show, well, that's when you have your say. We're going to take your comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like to hear us discuss, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as long as your question that you send in is appropriate for us to address on the show, you'll see us address it here on the show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? With a little Go Jays Go. But besides that, discuss this. You know, Paramount is kind of in the news a lot right now because of their hoping, their mission, their quest, if you will, to take over Warner Brothers. But lest you forget, they just recently went through another merger when Skydance bought Paramount. Now, one of the things that we know is that when two companies merge, there are going to be job losses. Duplicate roles, redundancies happen, that sort of thing. And according to Deadline here, as of today, starting today, Paramount is cutting roughly 1,000 workers to be followed up in the coming weeks by another 1,000 workers in a move that they say will reduce their overall staffing by about 10%. Now, again, this is not a surprise. You know, if you have a head of facilities and the other guy has a head of facilities, you don't need two heads of facilities. I heard it described this way once. If you are dating a girl and you both have somebody who kind of comes and does your yard work for you, well, if the two of you get married and move into one house, you're not going to keep them both. But one's going to have to go. And that's an unfortunate part about corporate mergers and all that kind of stuff. So look, I get it. This is not unexpected. They did say a couple of months ago after the Skydance and Paramount merger happened that there would be some layoffs. On top of all that, David Ellison was saying they're also just cutting some positions that are involved in areas that Paramount just no longer wants to be in the business of. They didn't get really specific about what those areas are, but I can imagine what a couple of them are.
Star Trek. Oh, wait.
No,
I'm kidding.
I don't think
joke.
that's
That
it.
was a joke. It was a joke.
Don't think that'll be it, but
Have they really been in Star Trek anyway?
That's a good question.
here's the thing. If about 1,000 people, or when it's said and done, 2,000 people are losing their jobs
Yeah.
on a merger on the scale of Skydance and Paramount, how many people are going to lose their jobs when two companies on the scale of the new Paramount and Warner Brothers merge? That's probably going to end up being a lot as well. And, you know, it just, again, on the one hand, I get it. If there's a role there that you don't need anymore, you don't just keep having an employee there if it's for something that you don't need. I get it. But it is part of the unfortunate and sucky reality that now as of today, there's 1,000 people today who are living out their dreams working in the movie business. And by the end of the day, they're not. And that really sucks. Although, again, as I said, not completely unexpected. Rob, we got the news now. As of today, Paramount starts their Skydance Paramount post-merger layoffs. What's your take on it? And how big are we looking at job losses being if, like, say, Paramount and Warner Brothers merge? What do you think?
Well, I think you said it pretty eloquently. When mergers happen, acquisitions happen, there's redundancy that needs to be eliminated. I mean, that's just academic. And it's unfortunate. They did say that these are, you know, Paramount's got a lot of tentacles out there. So, you know, there's a lot of places where there's going to be a lot of cuts. It's unfortunate, but it's just, that's what happens.
Yeah, we saw the same thing happen, by the way, like when Disney took over 20th Century, amidst all the hoopla and the wow, Marvel's getting the X-Men back. there was a lot of job losses too because of those redundancies.
And they had there's a lot of things in that redundancy that still haven't gone back up. Like 20th Century Studios, I know you're not a big fan of physical media, but their physical media output went to zero for years. And it wasn't until they were able to get the James Cameron films out that they really started back up. And now we're getting, because their library needs to be upgraded to 4K anyway. So now we're just seeing that come back. But in terms, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think obviously there's going to be some loss with the Warner Brothers if Warner Brothers completely gets acquired. But if they keep them as two separate companies, they're asking, maybe even David Zaslav would stay on, but Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca, they would be separate entities with a corporate overlord.
Right.
So Warner Brothers, they already suffered a merger with AT&T. Then they suffered another merger with Discovery.
But at least the AT&T one wasn't another entertainment company where there was going to be a lot of overlap or redundancy.
Right. And I think that Warner Brothers is probably, they've already suffered rounds of this. So I don't know if there's any more. There's always people you can cut, but they've combined so many of their businesses. They combined, theatrical marketing overseas things that they didn't oversee before. And so we'll see what happens. But I don't know if the Warner Brothers Skydance merger, I'd have to see more of how that's going to play out when it plays out to see what they're going to do. But I don't know if it's going to be as drastic, only because Warner Brothers has had to go through they had to have gone through mergers before, like you pointed out with Discovery. So they've already lost a lot of their employees. I don't know if they would lose more, but it depends how they really want to keep. It really depends on how they're going to operate Warner Brothers.
I don't know if Warner Brothers had a net loss of employees when they did the Discovery merger, because if Warner Brothers had, I'm just going to make up a number, 10,000 employees.
Yeah.
And then Discovery had 5,000 employees and they merged them together, they probably still ended up with more than the 10,000 employees that Warner Brothers started off with.
Right.
In all things. Now, it also should be pointed out here that this is not just a Paramount thing. If Apple acquires Warner Brothers, you're going to see layoffs.
Yeah, of course.
If Amazon acquires Warner Brothers, which, by the way, Amazon announced yesterday they're laying off 30,000 people. That's not 30,000 people from the Amazon video side, but I'm sure some of those people getting laid off were probably in the Amazon video side as well.
Yeah, Amazon, I don't know if you've noticed, but the last year their deliveries have really gone down in quality. And in terms of getting things, sometimes stuff doesn't show up. We had an Amazon delivery where they literally just delivered a bunch of furniture into the middle of the street. They didn't even come to our house. And so Amazon, I don't know what's going on over there, man, but
mine's been pretty, I got to admit, when we first moved into the house, when we first got the house, when we were doing the house renovations, we ordered a bunch of stuff from Amazon. We got a lot of it from Home Depot and whatever, but we got a bunch of stuff from Amazon. One of the things, how on our bedroom door, we have that sliding barn door as our bedroom door? I love that thing.
Yeah.
It didn't show up. There was a lot of things that did, but that did not show up. And I got to say, my customer experience with Amazon was actually pretty good. I got them on the phone. I said, hey, all these things on my order came, but this sliding door did not show up. And it was like $1,000 door.
Yeah.
So they were like, so sorry about that. We're going to ship out another one right away. So they shipped it out and it arrived the next day. And as we were getting ready to unbox it, we found the original one that did get delivered. They did deliver it. It's just one of the contractors put it under something. And so me being Canadian, I have to call Amazon and tell them that my mistake, right?
Right.
And I'm like, hey, listen, so sorry. You sent us this thing, and it's like the door is big. It's a big thing. You sent us this thing, and it turns out you did deliver the original one. And I felt so bad. Everybody's looking at me like I'm an idiot. Why are you telling Amazon that? Who cares? I'm like, it's the Canadian in me. So I call Amazon. I tell them we made this mistake, and they just said, don't worry about it. So I ended up with a second door. Sorry, I just totally took us down a completely meaningless rabbit hole.
No, but I would say I loved Amazon. I think the change has happened in the last 6 months, only in 2025. Their deliveries have been seriously curtailed, at least where we're at, which is strange.
Well, again, 30,000 jobs there, 1,000 jobs from Paramount today. Another 1,000 jobs are coming in the next coming weeks. And then whatever it's going to be when Warner Brothers gets it. Again, listen, two things can be true. One, I understand
Yeah.
And 2, it really sucks.
It sucks.
It really sucks. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? As of today, Paramount laying off 1,000 people as a result of the Skydance merger, 1,000 more to come, and then more if the Warner Brothers merger ever happens. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. You know, one of the big little cult horror hits of the last number of years has been the Terrifier. You know, I got to admit, I don't think they're all that good personally, but I know some people, dude, that absolutely are obsessed with it. And Ann and I have already been to a couple of Halloween parties, and we've seen 1 or 2. What's the name of the clown again? McGibbly testicles or whatever.
That's it. I think
What's
it's
that?
pretty I think that's accurate.
No,
Yes,
it's
McDiggly testicles. That is the name of the clown.
Terrifier clown.
So, Art, that's
Art,
his
yeah, Art the
name.
clown.
You know, that's close. Art.
Because that's what he's
McDiggly
creating. His
testicles.
victims. He's making art.
Yes,
The Artful
making art.
Dodger.
So, it's been a massive hit. Like these movies that have been made for like the tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars have been making in the tens of millions of dollars. It's an incredible Hollywood success story. But whenever there are big success stories, eventually some of the dirty laundry starts to come out. And now is one of those things. As one of the actresses, this is coming to us from Screen Rant, one of the actresses from the original Terrifier is now suing the director, the producer, and the studio behind it for financial fraud and for what they're labeling as abuse, because they did some things they weren't supposed to do if the allegations are true. So we're going to read a part of this here. Where's the main thing? Okay, here it is. Now a report from Entertainment Weekly reveals Corcoran, who was in the first one, she was like best friend with the main character, and she's the one who got hung upside down and sawed in half, that sort of thing. Corcoran filed a lawsuit in California federal court on Saturday, October the 26th. The lawsuit alleges her contract from the first Terrifier movie has not been fulfilled, suffering both sexual harassment and financial fraud as a result. The lawsuit claims Corcoran agreed with the director Damien Leone, producer Phil Falcone, and the film's production companies that she would receive 1% of the profits from all Terrifier movies and merchandise, even in films that she does not appear in. Despite Terrifier's massive box office success since its first installment, Corcoran has allegedly only been paid $8,000 to date for her work. Now, later on, it goes on to explain that on a budget of like $250,000, something like that, the Terrifier movies have gone on to make like $40 million, $90 million. And that's a lot of money that she's owed. That's a lot of money she's owed. But it goes on to say that the conditions she worked in kind of exceeded where her contract was at. Like, for example, they said, you know, they had her taped down on this board and put actual rat feces on her, which is like something she didn't sign up for.
That's ridiculous.
When they were doing the hanging her
She
upside
said
down.
there was rat feces in the prosthetics. Like,
yeah, but that they then put right on her.
right, but I don't think they knew. They didn't intentionally put rat feces in the prosthetics.
That's questionable. Then she said it was when she showed up to set to do the upside down scene that they told her it's mandatory that she do the scene topless. And then, this is one of the creepier things. She claims that without her consent, they started taking a bunch of pictures of her topless. And that's just kind of creepy. Then there was some, you know, your standard stuff of working conditions and things like that. But the main one here, of course, is she's saying, like, you guys, you promised me 1% in exchange for the fact that she worked for the SAG minimum $100 per day. I'm very familiar with that SAG minimum.
Yes.
Because I made a little movie where I got to pay the SAG minimum of $100 a day. Very, very familiar with that particular number. But so she agreed to do that in exchange for like 1%. And if these movies have made like $140 million in profit, guess what? She's owed like $1.4 million. Instead, she got $8,000. Now, I know it shouldn't strike any of us as being terribly odd, Rob. Wait a minute. The Terrifier the people the minds behind that might have done some things unbecoming. Maybe not all that surprising. Now, look, this is all one side of the story.
Yeah.
We're sure we'll see what happens when the lawsuit goes on, but this is the first like kind of real black mark on this franchise so far. Anyway, Rob, you read through the story. What were some of the bigger points on it to you?
Okay, I'm conflicted about this story. Because on one hand, like I always say, John, it ain't show friends, it's show business. You sign a contract, especially when there's nudity involved, nudity riders. You have contracts. If somebody promised a certain profit from movies, that would be in a contract. Just saying something like that, hey, that's not a contract.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it is.
Now,
it is legally a binding
here's
contract.
the thing. It depends in the context of having that conversation. If somebody's like just musing and throwing things out and going, well, maybe we could do this. This was a crowdfunded movie, this first film. Nobody knows what's going to happen with a crowdfunded movie. And I would imagine that there's a lot of talk. Everyone thinks when they make a movie, they're going to make an Academy Award-winning movie or whatever.
Everybody starts practicing their Oscar acceptance speech right away.
But when it comes to things like this, I know this because, look, I directed 5 episodes of this show for HBO Cinemax called Femme Fatales. And we had nudity riders, very specific contracts. And there were times after the fact that the actresses regretted doing nudity. And they came back and they were angry about it. And you're like, no, we signed this. We went through, the directors all had to call all the actresses and talk, and the actors, and discuss, is this okay with you? The production company mandated that we did that. And I was one of those, I had to make these kind of weird phone calls and talk to my actors before I'd even met them. So I was thinking about shooting you this way. You know, we did have these conversations. So it was all above board, and it was all up front. But when it comes to things like profit, this all has to be this. If that's true, there would be a contract that says that, because you can't promise people profit and not have it's not for you to say. You have to, because where's the money coming from? What's going on? Especially it's crowdfunded. So I'm sure that there was a lot of discussions that were had, but you still need to get. That's why you've got to get that contract, because, and also after the fact, after 3 movies now, it's a little sus to me.
Well, I mean, it also could have just been her being put off. Like,
sure.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
That's true.
And being patient and giving them an opportunity. Now, I think you bring up a really interesting point. And so I wanted Jonathan here. We weren't prepared for this. So let's jump into the Campea classroom for a second.
I'm always prepared.
Yeah, always prepared. Because Rob brings up a really good point that I think a lot of people don't know about this stuff. So when we say a contract, in law, when does a contract officially, when is inception? When does a contract actually come into legally binding existence? There's more. I'm going to oversimplify this. Okay. So just stay with me here. I am going to oversimplify it. But John, did you know there's also, yeah. But here's the oversimplification of it. There are 4 key things. There are others, but we're just going to stick to these 4. That if these 4 things exist, whether it's in writing or not, you have a legally binding contract. Number 1.
Acting on reliance.
You have to have I put an exclamation point instead of a number. Number 1, an offer, right? For a contract to exist, there has to be somebody offering something. It's like, hey, Jonathan, I would like to give you this magnificent Superman hat. Or something like that, right? I want you to drive me to the airport tomorrow night. Okay? That's what I want. I want you to drive me to the airport for tomorrow night, and I'll give you something in return. Offer. The second thing you need to have, you have to have acceptance. Somebody in that, Jonathan has to say, I agree to drive you to the airport tomorrow night. There used to be, in like the entertainment business and in mail order stuff, this really sneaky thing. Somebody would send you an offer and say, basically, if you don't want this, reply with no thank you. Otherwise, we're going to start sending you the product in US money. And the legal says, no, because they never accepted your offer. So number 1, you have to have an offer. Number 2, you have to have acceptance. Number 3, you have to have capacity. Capacity can mean a number of things. But let's say this. Rob can offer to sell Jonathan my house for $1,000.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Nice sliding doors. I hear there's a couple.
And you know what? If you want to add
barn
another
doors.
one,
Yeah.
there's another one around.
Jonathan can say, I accept. Here's the problem. It's not Rob's house to sell. He does not have capacity. Capacity can also mean several other things. For instance, there are certain places in the world, like here, that you have to be of a certain age. Like if a 12-year-old says, yeah, I'll do that, the law is going to step in and say a 12-year-old child does not have capacity, that they do not have the legal capacity to enter into those types of decisions. So you have to have capacity. The fourth thing there needs to be is consideration. So I offer Jonathan the opportunity to drive me to the airport. He accepts. It's his car, so he has capacity. But unless there's something that he's getting out of it or consideration, it's not a contract. Now, let's get back to this wonderful Superman hat that one of our fans at one of our meet and greets gave to me, or one of our movie meetups. So if I offer Jonathan, hey, you have the wonderful opportunity to drive me to the airport, and Jonathan says yes, and he owns a truck, so he has capacity, that doesn't make it a legally binding contract yet, until the Superman hat comes into it. Once there is actually something being offered as consideration for it, then that satisfies the four things: offer, acceptance, capacity, consideration. Now, here's the thing where a lot of people get confused. For a contract to exist, and again, I'm oversimplifying it, there are other factors as well, but this is the basis of it. A lot of people think for this contract to exist, it has to be in writing. It doesn't. If Rob and I, say Rob makes an offer to me to buy my Stanley Cup off of me, and I accept, and he says, I'll do it for $5, and I accept. Rob comes to me the next day with the $5, and I say, nah, not doing it. We didn't have it in writing. Doesn't matter. If Jonathan was there and saw me agree to it,
Yeah.
it's a contract, as binding as it is in paper, generally speaking. Now, here's the thing. What she's going to rely on, what's interesting in this case with the Terrifier, is she didn't just say it was with one person behind one closed door that they made the agreement.
Sure.
She said this was an agreement with the director, the producers, and
Right.
the production companies were all in. They had the discussion with all of them. And if they go under deposition, this is going to come out. And if they find that they did say, hey, we want you to be in our movie and play this role, and she says yes, and she is of legal age to make that agreement, and they were the proper authorities of the movie to make the offer, that's capacity, and they said, we'll pay you the SAG minimum $100 a day, we'll have that written in the contract, but on top of all that, we'll give you 1% of any profit this franchise makes. They're screwed. This is a legally binding contract, if that is indeed what happens.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the tricky part.
I would say one of my favorite Hollywood examples of this that people should look into because it's fascinating is the Boxing Helena deal. So Jennifer Lynch, David Lynch's daughter, was making a movie called Boxing Helena, and Pam Basinger agreed to star in it. She ended up pulling out, and she was replaced with Sherilyn Fenn. But it was a big deal, and I believe that Kim Basinger was actually found guilty, that she'd made a contract and everything was copacetic. The movie got financed. They ended up making it, but caused a lot of consternation with other people. So that's a really great case study. The thing about this that I find dubious is it's a crowd-funded movie, and they had no idea what was going to... First of all, taking pictures of nude actresses on set is the scuzziest thing in the world. That is extremely unprofessional, and that's a whole separate actionable issue. That has nothing to do with, and having terrible conditions on low budget indie horror films is also not something. It happens all the time. You know, everybody knows this. Everybody goes in like we're shooting it outside at night for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's great, but it happens. But the promises that were made based on future films on a crowdfunded movie, where you don't even know if you're going to finish the thing, that seems, and they didn't even have a distributor when they were making the movie. So the director,
But that's their fault.
well, no, it is true,
Right?
But,
That's-
but when she says companies offered me these things, I mean, and she's the girl that gets killed in the beginning. There's a lot of promises that are being made that sound dubious to me. That maybe they are actionable, you know. And people said in the look, take off your clothes, we'll give you 1% of the. I can see somebody saying that. Don't say that.
Yeah, I can't. Again, under capacity, it can't just be the assistant director that says it. It can't just be a gaffer that makes the offer to her. She claims that the director, the producer, and the company behind it were all in agreement that you're going to get 1% of whatever this thing ends up making if you take your top off for us and let us film you. Then that was really stupid of them to make that offer.
Sure. That's why, but that's
it is
why
the offer.
Yeah, if that was made. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that this comes out after 3 movies have been made. Now it's an established franchise and it's made a lot of money.
Again, you give them time to I mean, I was in a legal situation once, and thankfully it didn't come to anything. But I literally gave the other side 5 years. I gave them chance after chance after chance, and I gave them years to follow up on their promises, and they never did. And then I took the next steps,
Yeah.
and then, whoo, look, everything got resolved all of a sudden.
And I bet you had a big paper trail too.
Oh, I did. Yeah, mostly like emails and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
but
won't-
that's enough.
Yeah, we won't go into that. But again, you get people under oath in deposition, and it's not just one person. You're talking about people at the production company, the
Yep.
producer, whatever. As long as one of them cracks and goes, yeah, that offer was
That's
made.
why you always save your emails.
It's also
100%. I never delete any of my
archive
emails.
them every year.
also when you enter litigation, you open yourself out to discovery.
Oh,
And if the other party does not want
Yep.
other items being made public, that could work in your favor.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, look, this could get messy. It could. Here's what I think is going to happen. What's going to happen in this case is the same thing that happens in 95% of cases. This will never go to trial. The Terrifier side is going to go to her representation and say, I'm just going to make up a number. What if we cut her a check for $500,000 right now? Can we just make this all go away? And they're going to go, yes.
And you
Or
sign
they'll
an
say-
NDA and don't talk about this
Yes,
ever again.
and then they'll sign an NDA, or they'll say no, and they'll say, okay, how about $750,000? And we don't have to go through all this. So this will probably all get settled out of case at one point or another, unless the Terrifier side decides, no, man, she is straight up lying. None of that ever happened, and we all can prove it. Well, then they'll fight it, and maybe it goes. But I think 95% chance this thing gets settled out of court.
I do too.
But it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And then if they do, does she keep that 1% for future Terrifier movies? Or do they say, okay, we'll cut you a check for $1 million right now, but you agree to forfeit anything we owe you for future? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be really
I
interesting.
mean,
to see
you
how this works
remember,
out.
you know, it's when George Lucas said to Alec Guinness, you know, hey, I'm going to give you a bigger piece of this movie that we're making to keep him happy. Alec Guinness tells the story. He made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, $1 million, if you invest it right and you get some good dividends, 10% dividends, it's $100,000 a year of living
Yep.
for doing nothing.
Yep. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you make of this really weird situation? Apparently, an actress got promised by a producer director, you'll get 1% of all the profits of this movie franchise moving forward. She's got $8,000 so far. I mean, maybe this goes to trial. I mean, they're making a public thing out of it. That means people are going to have to sit down under oath in discovery and make some sworn to statements that they can be legally liable for. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Amazing news coming out of this report in Variety. I believe now 92 or 93-year-old John Williams, the undisputed GOAT of GOATs. No question, no pretenders to the throne.
93.
The greatest of all time, John Williams, is teaming up with Steven Spielberg again for their 30th collaboration. And what Variety is referring to the upcoming 2026 Steven Spielberg mystery film as a UFO film of some kind. Now listen, my wife Ann and I, for 12 years, we've been going like every year to the John Williams Maestro of the Movies concert at the Hollywood Bowl that he does every year. And it's always one of the highlights. About 6 years ago, because there's the first part, then they do an intermission in the second part. About 6 years ago, he would have one of his proteges. I think his name is David Newman.
Yeah.
Whose father, Alfred Newman, was one of John Williams's mentors.
Yes.
It's so poetic.
Back then he was Johnny Williams.
Johnny Williams at the time. And so about 5 or 6 years ago, David Williams started to come out and like conducting like half of one of the halves. So about a quarter of it. Then a few years ago, David started doing the entire first part, then the intermission, and then John Williams would come out in the second part. Then he started doing like some of the second part as well. And then the last couple of years, it's been celebrating John Williams' Maestro of the Movies without John Williams there.
Yeah.
It's just been David, who does a great job with
Still
it.
great.
Still great.
It doesn't sound any different, honestly.
Yeah. No, it still sounds wonderful, but it's different when John Williams
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If you're there with him.
The Imperial March only hits as hard when John Williams
when it's
directs
him
it.
doing it, right?
Yeah.
And, then the word came out that he had to start canceling some shows. There was health issues. And I was holding my effing breath for a good couple of weeks going, oh my God. Because every time I checked my newsfeed, I was so scared we were about to see we lost a legend. John Williams passes away.
That's going to be rough.
Oh, dude, I didn't even want to think about it. So then a while back, I started hearing some whispers that he's on the mend. They was like, oh, okay, that sounded great. But this is what I wanted to hear. That the man is back. He's going to be composing another film. Because you think about the scores that John Williams has just done with Steven Spielberg. Jurassic Park. E.T.
Jaws. Close Encounters.
Indiana
1941.
Jones.
Raiders. Yeah.
Think about all those iconic
Empire of the
themes
Sun.
that all came from their collaboration.
Terminal. I think he made it. I don't know. Who could? Timeless.
So, I mean, I'm excited for two reasons. Number one, I'm excited that they're going to have their 30th collaboration. But number two, I'm just excited because I'll be honest, I thought we got our last original John Williams score.
Me
I really
too.
did. Well, even if he lived for another 5, 10, 15 years, I thought we got our last John Williams score and we're going to get more. And I'm so excited about it. He's the man. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm so excited. You know, the thing about John Williams is when people talk about John Williams, everybody talks about his main title themes. That's what they always play.
Which is understandable.
It's fine. What he does not get credit for is all of his music throughout a film. And there's so many pieces of music, especially in one of his scores, in the score for Close Encounters. Close Encounters is so good. And just because they've been talking about this movie, UFO, Disclosure, whatever it's about, one of the things that I've always wanted for this movie is I hoped, in my mind, I'd cross fingers, and I'm like, I wonder if there's any chance that John Williams would come back and score this. I didn't see this story till this morning, and as soon as I saw it, I texted it to you. Of course,
Yes,
you were already Johnny on the spot. But I was like in bed going, oh my God. It was like one of these things that, you cross your fingers and you hope something might happen. Because that score for Close Encounters, I played that score as much as I played Star Wars. Star Wars was more iconic, but Close Encounters was more like inside my head. And whenever I'd go places as a kid, I would hear the score like when I rode my bike to school. There's pieces of music
I would hear
that
the E.T. theme when I was riding my bike.
Yeah,
to school.
E.T. hadn't come out yet, but
Right.
I mean, Close Encounters. So to hear this, dude, I'm so excited. I'm like, this was literally a 2025 dream come true for me. Just a little personal thing, I didn't tell anybody, but Elizabeth's like, what's your damage? Like, what do you? I was like squeeing, like, oh my God. It's true.
One of the greatest moments out of all the years we've gone to the John Williams concert, I think maybe the greatest moment for me is when Steven Spielberg came out on stage and they did this thing where you want to know how important John Williams is to movies. You want to know how powerful John Williams' contribution to movies is. He goes, let's take my little movie that I did, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And what Steven Spielberg did is he played the opening scene where young Indy is stealing back that artifact and he's running from the gang of guys and getting on the train with the animals. He goes, we're going to watch it with just my work and no John Williams music. Run it. And then they played this like 7-minute clip with no music. And then the screen goes dark and Steven Spielberg's back on stage. He goes, sucks, doesn't it? That's terrible. He goes, but now let's go through that exact same scene with the John Williams magic. John Williams comes out on stage. The orchestra starts conducting as they're playing it. And it was amazing. It was so great. And man, I can't wait for this. And you know what? To your point about how a lot of times people just talk about, when you think about John Williams, you think the Superman theme, the Star Wars theme, the Indiana Jones theme, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, whatever. It's the music that he often has underneath that music.
Yeah.
A couple of times he's had like a violin soloist and he's just played this one piece from like Schindler's List. That was just a piece that was composed for this one specific scene. And then they do it and you're like, oh my God, this is so moving and perfect. And so he does the big anthems. He does the mood music. He's the best that there's ever been.
And you know, you talk about this concert. There was one year, because I've gone to multiple John Williams concerts. I thought to myself, and I told the people I was with, I go, you know, I love the march, the theme march from 1941. It's this jaunty, happy. And I'm like, I know he's not going to play it. I know. But wouldn't it be cool if? And it starts with this little flute piece. It's like, dun, 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 dun. And then you hear the percussion go, dun, 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 dun. And when I heard that flute piece, again, I'm like, yes, it did it just for me.
That was it.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Oh, I got 2 questions for you. Number 1, in the comments below, let us know, what are your 3 favorite pieces of John Williams music? I mean, Star Wars will be on most of them, but I'm curious to see what a lot of the other ones are. But also, what do you think about the story? I cannot wait for this. This is like the best news a movie fan can get.
Good.
This is so great. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down, let's go on to this, shall we? Remember 17 years ago when they announced that Patty Jenkins was going to be doing a Star Wars Rogue Squadron movie? Yeah, and then it never happened. Well, some of you might remember that about 2 or 3 months ago, we covered a rumor that was going around. The rumor stated that the Patty Jenkins Rogue One Squadron might not be dead. And we discussed it, and we talked about it, and I said at the time, Rob, I'd be all for it for them to still do it. I liked the idea when they announced it. I still like it today, but I also expressed extreme skepticism that it would actually happen. Well, now today, via our friends over at Cinema Blend, Cinematical no longer exists, but our friends over at Cinema Blend, they're saying that this Star Wars project, Rogue Squadron, not only is it still alive, but they might have changed its focus from being a Rogue Squadron movie to being a Rogue Squadron Disney Plus series. Now, continue to file this one under the rumor mill.
I love rumors.
This is under the rumor mill. But it does support that previous, which I think the one we covered a few months ago was from Daniel Rickman, who sometimes is right, sometimes is wrong. Today's comes from another one of these Twitter leakers, whatever, that is sometimes right, has gotten some things right, has also got a bunch of things wrong. A lot of times seems like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. So again, plant this firmly in the tomato row of rumor, all right? But again, it kind of piggybacks on what we already heard a couple of months ago. Let's for a second assume this is true, just for the sake of the discussion, okay? Let's assume for a moment, just for fun, that this is true. I don't like the idea of it being a Disney Plus series. This sounds like a big screen spectacle. Something like Rogue Squadron should be a big screen spectacle. That being said, if they wanted to draw on some of the expanded universe Rogue Squadron stories and
The novels are great.
yeah, well, some of them are great. Some of them were great, and some of them really were great. If they wanted to pick and choose and just take some things out of that, you could probably stretch that into a series. But again, it seems to me like Star Wars and Lucasfilm is leaning away from Disney Plus and trying to get their focus back on feature films right now. But at the end of the day, while I may prefer getting Rogue Squadron as a movie than a series, I gotta say, I'll take it whatever way they want to give it to me. If they want to make it a Disney Plus series, fine, I'll take it. So I would be down for it. Now, the second question, of course, is, do we believe it? This report supports the other report that we did 2 or 3 months ago, and I still don't believe it. I still don't think this is going to happen. So put me in the category of, I hope it happens. I'm interested in if it happens, but I still don't believe it's actually going to happen. Anyway, Rob, you saw this report saying that, yeah, indeed, this thing's still in development, only now it might be a Disney Plus series. 2 questions. If it's true, how do you feel about it? And then second question, do you think it's true?
Well, I did read a few of the books. I mean, I like the first 5, I think. And I like the way it was done. And I think this could actually, it could lean in. I mean, I'm not saying it'd be like Andor, but it's a more serious look at military in Star Wars, which I really, and who doesn't love X-Wings? I love all the Rebel fighters. A-Wings, Y-Wings, B-Wings. Need more B-Wing, man. It's like cowbell. We always need more of it. But I think this is a great idea. It's just, again, it's heavily reliant on special effects, you know, which makes it expensive, unless they lean into the character stuff, which they will. But I think if they do this as a Disney Plus series, depending on who the showrunner is, it could be great. Will they do this? I think that I see it being prohibitively expensive and that a movie should probably be where something like this lives. But depending on the story and the script, I mean, already we've got the Mandalorian and Grogu, and he's flying around on his, well, I guess they're bringing the Razor Crest back, unless it's a period piece. And then you've got Star Wars Starfighter, which is coming out, and now this. It seems kind of leaning heavily into the Starfighter aspects of the Star Wars universe. But, I mean, who doesn't love this? I love my starship porn. I mean, you know, I see the 5-minute scene in Star Trek The Motion Picture where Kirk's spinning around the brand new Enterprise, and I'm like, let's see that again. You know, I'm that kind of guy. So I will watch. I love my spaceship models. I love X-Wings. I love Y-Wings. I want to see Rebel. Look, to me, great pornography is Rebel spaceships blowing up TIE fighters. It gets me hot. And I'll watch it all. Whether you got TIE bombers, whether you got TIE interceptors, whether you got Vader's TIE fighter, or those standard TIE fighters. I love it.
You know what? I got to say, whereas, you know, my thing is this needs to be big screen spectacle. I will say this. Other than the Endor space battle in Return of the Jedi, which I contend today is still today the greatest space battle sequence in the history.
Although the Battle of Scarif is great,
it's also pretty cool. Yeah, that's really good. But I gotta say, man, on television, the Battlestar Galactica stuff was pretty jaw-dropping.
Dude, it was
and
dope.
that was TV.
Unbelievable.
And you know what's one of the best things about it? Fucking drums. Remember whenever these big
like
space
big
battles
taiko
happen?
drum. Yeah,
you just boom, 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 boom. It's like, oh,
so good.
And you'd see the like, oh, I still remember. Sorry, I'm gonna have a geekgasm here. I still remember in one of the great, maybe no, I call it the greatest episode of television ever. Second Exodus from Battlestar Galactica. As the Galactica is getting ready to sacrifice itself, there's 3 base stars of the Cylons attacking it. And, you know, you got Admiral Dom going around, it's been an honor serving with all of you. They're surely about to die. And then all of a sudden the camera kind of spans into the blackness of space. Then you hear those drums. Boom, 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 boom. And the Pegasus comes out of nowhere and it starts blasting the base stars. And you hear, Adama, damn it, Lee, what are you doing here? You're supposed to get away. And greatest episode of TV ever. Well, if they could do that with Rogue Squadron on TV like Battlestar Galactica did, sign me up.
I've got another thing that I would love to see. Have you seen that, like, it's an animated short this TIE Fighter anime short where it's
Oh yeah, I saw.
Oh, that was a few years ago, right?
yeah, a few years ago. I would watch an anime Rogue Squad, a series, an animated series done in the style of that, because I love that, and that way you could do whatever you wanted in space.
Yeah,
because it's drawn.
So listen, if they can do a Rogue Squadron, then this is a big ask. This is a big ask. If you could do a Rogue Squadron that's like Andor crossed with Battlestar Galactica.
Who wouldn't watch that?
I mean, who wouldn't watch that? Now, can Patty Jenkins deliver that? She's delivered some Oscar-winning stuff before.
And she can do the pilot. Then she's an executive producer of the show. Do the 2-hour pilot.
Oh my God, get Tony Gilroy back. You offer him this and you say, okay, Tony, we'll want you to imagine Andor and Battlestar Galactica. Screw it, just get Ronald D. Moore.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, just get Ronald D. Moore. Say, hey man, once you're done with God of War over at Amazon, come on over
Okay,
and
but
do the
not
Star
until
Wars
he's done
stuff.
with For All Mankind, because he's already overextended with God of
Was
War.
he doing this? He's not doing the spinoff, right?
Yeah, they're doing For All Mankind in Star City.
Him?
Is he?
Yeah.
But is he show running it or just?
I don't know if
executive
he's
producing
show running it, but he's
Probably
working
producing.
on it, and I can't wait. By the way, Apple, I want to know what's going on with For All Mankind season 5, yo. The year's almost up, and we have no news, and I know that it's done.
Okay, well, if that's news. I mean, you know they produced it
No news is good news
with Gary Gnu.
with Gary Gnu.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit excited. What do you think about this? I still don't believe this is happening. I just don't think this is happening. This is all going to be for naught. But the specter of it is enough to get it moving in my pants. What do you think about this, guys? Whatever you guys think,
no.
jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, all due respect to the upcoming Supergirl movie, which I am excited about, and the upcoming Clayface movie, the Clayface film that was written by our horror dude, Mike Flanagan. Which Mike Flanagan wrote it. I'm interested. All due respect for, Man of Tomorrow and whatever else may come after that. The upcoming DC project that I am most excited about is Lanterns. I'm pretty stoked for it. We really haven't known anything about it other than the fact that, Nathan Fillion has said Guy Gardner drops more F-bombs in this thing than I've ever had in my career, which is interesting. But other than that, we haven't really known much. We've heard that it's kind of got the tone of a True Detective crossed with a mystery thing. And okay, that. But a new interview was done where we're actually getting a few details, including time period and the dynamic of the relationship between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. Let's go over to CBR here, and we'll take we'll read some of the excerpts at length here because I think it's interesting. Where they write, Lanterns creator finally reveals when the show takes place, and it's not the answer we expected. In an early twist is right for Lanterns, and it's one that only adds to the intrigue surrounding the upcoming DCU series slated for HBO Max. No worries, it's not of the spoiler variety, hence the lack of warning up top, but it does provide insight into the direction of when the show debuts in early 2026, thanks to Chris Mundy opening up about the timeline in which Lanterns is set to take place. Goes on to say this. Our story takes place in a couple of different time periods, and so the challenge was for the characters to be consistent at their core, he told Men's Health before detailing why Pierre is perfect for the role of Jon Stewart. John's sort of a different person in one of them than he is in another. So we're going to see his character in one time period where his characteristics are going to be different from another time period. And I do think the physicality and magnetism that Aaron brings, and he does bring that, to the role brought all that together. That theater training, that wanting to be in the minutia of the work and the craft, it really added to John's character from all sides. It added dimension to the more physical side of the role and to the more emotional, creative part of the role. Now, he says even stuff that's I found even more interesting when he starts talking about the dynamic between him and Hal Jordan. He says this, our show is in a lot of ways about replacement. When should someone step aside and when is it time for the next person to take the reins, said Gundy. That push and pull between those two characters is really important. So much of the power that John has is by not taking the bait, understanding that you lose your power if you're yelling and screaming. That's what we're trying to convey, that he knows he belongs, so he doesn't have to overcompensate. In another quote, they said, there's a real balance there that's just innately inside of Aaron. He's big, he's an intimidating presence just physically, but there's a softness to him too. There's a thoughtfulness. You can't teach that. By the way, they go on to say in it, is that in a way, this series is kind of Jordan versus Stewart. But they qualified that in the sense that in the same way that in True Detective, you had Woody Harrelson's character and Matthew McConaughey's were colleagues and friends, but they also pushed each other's buttons. And he said, we're going to expect a lot of that in the series as well. So, all right. While we don't know who the big bad guy is yet or anything like that, Rob, there's a lot that gets relayed in this interview that is giving us a much bigger picture of what this Lantern series is going to be that we simply didn't have before. Which elements are popping out to you the most, and which parts are you kind of wishing were in there that maybe they're not revealing yet?
Well, I think this idea of replacement, succeeding a hero. I've always loved stories like that. John, I worked for a director who made a movie a long time ago called Pastime that was about minor league baseball. And it was about an over-the-hill pitcher that has to deal with a young upstart coming to replace him.
Was it called Bull Durham?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But it was so William Russ played the older pitcher and Glenn Plummer played the younger pitcher. And it was a really great, heartfelt story about that very thing. And it sounds to me like Jon Stewart probably, knowing TV, something bad happened, tragic backstory, and it led him to becoming a Green Lantern and becoming sorted out or something like that. I love this idea, and it's great casting if Hal Jordan has been Green Lantern for a long time, and Aaron Pierre is
he's clearly a grizzled.
Yeah, and I love this idea, and I love it's Riggs and Murtaugh, it's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, it's that whole. I love that kind of relationship. But the thing is, I love the fact that it's ideology. It's not just young or old. That Jon Stewart and Kyle Chandler have that they have Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler, that these characters have. It's more of an experiential, generational thing as opposed to one knows more than the other. Different techniques, different thoughts. I think that makes for great drama. I think it makes for great storytelling. And then watching those two things come together to solve a problem. I just love that kind of stuff. I love those stories. It's just a kind of story that I've always been interested in. So to hear that they're going that direction with this, I think is really exciting because that moves it away from your standard superhero fare and moves it into classical storytelling. And, the superhero aspects are great, but these are stories that go back all the way to the Greeks. Yeah. And I love this idea. And I think it's so exciting. What they didn't say anything about, are the Guardians of the Galaxy or Guardians of Oa? Is Kilowog in there? Are we going to have the Green Lantern Corps? Right. And I'm sure we'll get to that. But what I like the showrunner saying is it makes it that's why it's an HBO show, because they didn't talk about the Guardians of Oa. They've talked about it like it's True Detective. And the fact that that writer worked on Ozark, worked on the Kyle Chandler movie Bloodlines, and worked on True Detective. I'm like, give me that show. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I think even the Snyder Bros will accept because you've got that gravitas. I'm stoked for this show, and this article amped my excitement level up another 10%.
You know how I'd like to see this play out? If we look at like recent movies, there was the Brad Pitt film F1.
Yeah.
Right? Where we had Brad Pitt, who is the seasoned vet. You have this new upstart, hotshot, great driver, and they're dynamic. What I hope Green Lanterns does. Now, granted, I'm a Hal Jordan guy.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. What I would really like to see is that, Jon Stewart is this great new Lantern. He's awesome. But there's still some things to learn. You know what else reminds me of Any Given Sunday? Where, what does he say at the end? The young quarterback says at the end, because, the veteran is in there in the first half and then gets injured. And the young quarterback on the sideline is saying, I just learned more about football in one half than I have in 21 years.
Jamie Foxx and Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, when he says it, I just learned more about football in one half. What I want to see is this happen is like, like where Hal Jordan realizes he's got to start passing on stuff, and the kid realizes he's still got stuff to learn.
Yeah,
And-
that's the best.
Oh yeah, they can do it in a classic way. But I brought up F1 because F1 ends with Brad Pitt still being the king. He's still the man.
Right.
But at the end of it, I'd like to see them do that, and then maybe progress on into a second season of Lanterns, whatever. But it's gonna be interesting to see.
By the way, on a totally unrelated note, did you hear that they did a fashion show somewhere? And they had Marvel fashion out, like Angela Bassett was dressed. They had everybody from Wakanda.
Yeah, and the kid from F1 was there.
And the Damson Idris
and
was
that
there.
got everybody going, oh, he's the new T'Challa. I'm like,
We never talked about it.
that's a bit of a stretch.
It is a
He was
stretch
there.
but I think he'd be a great T'Challa,
Oh, no doubt.
especially even if he's in
What was
Doomsday.
his show? Snow? Was it Snow that he was in? Was that his show?
Is that I think I think maybe.
Guys in the live chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought his show was Snow. Anyway, he's great.
Great.
Or Snowfall.
Snowfall.
Do I think he's the guy to do it? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I do know that he's a name that if they announce it tomorrow, I'd be happy with. But I think it's a big stretch just because he attended something.
I know, but
That's why we didn't make it.
well,
a
he was
topic
like
here.
dressed in the garb or something. Like
Yeah.
he was part of the runway show.
But I don't think that's how Marvel's announcing their new T'Challa.
Multiverse.
They could. They could. I'm not saying there's no chance it's true. I'm just saying right now I think it's a bit of a stretch. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you make of all these details coming out about there being multiple time periods, about Jon Stewart changing from time period to time period, about the Jordan versus Stewart kind of thing, the idea of themes of replacement and all that kind of stuff? All this sounds, like Rob said, very HBO to me.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's now time for us to move on to obviously the most important part of our show, which is taking the questions and topics you guys have sent in. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sir. Thank you, sir. And we got a Designing Hollywood dropping with the cinematographer of the John Wick franchise and Frankenstein this week.
Yeah, and by the way, and the Frankenstein design is so good.
So good.
So good. Looking forward to seeing that conversation. All right, guys, let's get over to your questions. We got a few of them picked out here. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
All right, let me just scroll down. This thing decided to do this to me. All right, two-parter. Piasmar, apparently a fan of the Chair Watch, says, "You listen here, Mr. Campea. I've had it with your Chair Watch slander." It was the most viewed live stream ever at 275 million.
By the way, that is not the most the most viewed live stream ever. Just throwing that. It was big. It was very big.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. 3.1 million social media interactions. Every actor was trending on Twitter. They would have been anyway. The fans got to talk about and speculate on every actor while waiting for the next one. The nerd channels went live with breakdowns like it was a draft. Your own show got hijacked as you went back to the stream after every story. Only when it was changing. We didn't waste time staring at a chair. It was brilliant, I say. I'll see you at Chair Watch 2. I don't think that's going to happen.
It was completely idiotic.
Chair Watch 2, the reclining.
The reclining.
Like, all of your stuff is assuming, all of that assumes that if they announced it any other way, it wouldn't have been bigger and better and more enjoyable and created more pop. They could have done it any other way. I mean, look, let's face it. Let's just be honest here. Kevin Feige could have walked onto an empty stage, live stream, eat a burrito, drop trowel, squat, and then shit out a big turd that said Robert Downey Jr. on it. And then repeated that process 42 times with every name.
That's a lot of burritos.
And that would have gotten 300 million live views. I mean, like, people are acting just because they did the worst thing they could have possibly done. It's the Avengers announcement. Of course it's going to get views. They just did it in the absolute worst possible imaginable way. And if they had done it any other way, 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%, 300%, bigger pop, bigger engagement, bigger viewership, all that kind of stuff, instead of this ridiculous Simu Liu. Wait 12 minutes. I mean, that was the most fucking stupid thing I've ever seen them do. It was absolutely ridiculous. And if they did it any other way, it would have been far more successful. It was still successful because it's the Avengers cast announcement. They could have literally done anything and it would have got those numbers. What they could have done is anything else, it would have got bigger numbers. Anyway, that's just that. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous who says, would you rather have a Smurfs movie directed by Christopher Nolan or a Snorks movie directed by James Cameron?
I don't know the Snorks.
Oh, yeah, that was from the 80s. They had like
Oh, was it?
little snorkels coming out of their heads.
All right, just because I'm so over the Smurfs, I'll go with the Snorks.
Okay.
Whatever they are. I'll
Good
just go with the
choice.
Snorks.
I like
Sounds
it.
like cocaine might be involved.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Tristan Thorpe. I don't even watch Taylor Sheridan's shows, but I know about them. It's wild to hear why he left story. He literally built up the Paramount Plus app because of his shows. Good on him for taking NBC's $1 billion deal.
Yeah, listen, I got to tell you what. I have not watched. I'm sure it'll come because everybody's got a bad day at the office. You know what? There is one thing he did that I didn't like. One thing. It was that forest firefighter movie with
Yes.
what's her name? Brad Pitt's ex-wife. Not why she's one of the most famous actresses in the world. Why am I freezing on her name? I can't remember.
looking up.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
what was the name of that movie?
Those Who Wish Me Dead? No. Yeah, that was Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
for those Who Wish Me Dead, yeah.
Those Who Wish Me Dead. Did not like that movie. That's it. That's it. That's the beginning and the end of the list of stuff that he made that I didn't like. Whether you're talking about Wind River, Hell or High Water, Sicario, and then we go to the television side. I love Yellowstone. 1883 was amazing. I don't love 1923, but I still like it, I guess. At least for the parts with Harrison Ford in it. Tulsa King is way better than it has any business being. Mayor of Kingstown is fantastic. Landman is fantastic. Lioness. I mean, like, it's just, I cannot believe that they let him walk out the door. I just can't believe it. It's just stunning to me. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Alex Mercer says, hey, John and crew, it's me again, Alex. I hope this isn't too off topic, but yesterday my baby hedgehog Jazzy passed away after away peacefully. That's sorry to hear that, man. I mean, I remember he mentioned that months ago. Thank you all for the great time you guys provide on the show, and thank you for your well wishes that you gave Jazz.
Listen, I don't know, people who don't have pets, I don't know that you can get it. You know, we recently, Ann and I, just this past year, we lost both of our dogs. Lily and Shadow. Now we have a new dog. We have Dune, who we rescued off the street. But, you know, we had Lily and Shadow. Ann had Lily before I met her. Like, she had Lily for 17 years. And we had Shadow for about 14 years. And they both died within just a couple of months of each other. And I'm not trying to be overly dramatic about it, but the Campea home was a darker place for a while. It was just, you know, we just lost something. And listen, I'm not going to lie. We've got a couple of those, you know, smart picture frames around the house. You know, those where you can digitally set up the pictures that rotate, or it'll pull off your photo album and rotate pictures.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. There are some times that a picture of Lily or Shadow or both of them come up, and I'll step out of the room, or I'll kind of get choked up. And so I'm very sorry to hear. I mean, obviously it's nowhere near the same level as me losing my mom or you somebody losing her brother. I'm not saying that, but it is significant, and it has a real emotional impact on us as people. These pets really become a part of our lives and everything. So deepest condolences, man. I'm sorry to hear about that. All right, what's next?
Nero Strike says, hey, John, looking forward to meeting you when you visit Texas. Please disregard my fellow Texans who express their stupidity. Houston, my surname, is a tame drive from ATX. As Chris can attest, not all of us are such airheads.
That's all right. And by the way, it wasn't just people from Houston. Like, again, whenever we announce locations that we're going for the movie meetups, I always get these angry ones from cities that we're not going to. It's like, I can't, guys, I'm paying for all this myself. With time away from home and everything, like, I can't do every city. I just thought it'd be fun to do as many as I can. That's all. Anyway. All right. What's next?
We got Anonymous. I hope HBO makes Lanterns a classic 15 episode a season show. We need more long form superhero TV, not the Marvel TV crap. And if Checkmate show ever happens, give me a Brooklyn Nine-Nine office style sitcom with the Peacemaker cast minus Cena. They'd be great. I don't know if I'd like that tone for them after seeing them in more serious, but
I don't know. I think it would fit because like Peacemaker isn't dead serious drama like LA, like Law and Order.
Law and Order.
It's not like dead serious Law and Order. It's pretty. And if they did a series that's like a case of the week, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Not must watch TV, but that could be fun. I am gonna doubt that we're gonna get 15 episodes of Lanterns, although I would love it. But hey, give me 8 to 10 hour-long episodes. I'll be happy. All right, what's next?
Gotham's Geordie. Greetings from Newcastle, England. I listen every day. Thanks for all you do. With movies like Last Samurai, my favorite, Blood Diamond, Glory, Legends of the Fall, and Defiance, do you think Edward Zwick is an underrated director? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. I think he's a celebrated director.
I didn't know he did. I mean, I knew about a number, but I didn't know about one or two of those. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say he's underrated.
Right.
Because he's gotten Oscar nominations, has he not?
Yes.
Anyways, I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's underrated. I'm gonna say he's not underrated. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Abdullah says, hi there, or hi, John. There is a rumor that Netflix is working on an animated series for Crash Bandicoot. What do you think of this approach? Is it too late, or should it be a movie like Mario?
I don't think anybody's going to care about Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I think you just go ahead and do it and put it on Netflix.
This is why, and by the way, I mean that is no disrespect to any fans of Crash Bandicoot, but I mean, this is why when Mario hit it big and joined the $1 billion club, and people start writing, well, now they need to make this Nintendo movie and this Nintendo movie and this Nintendo movie. I'm like, guys, it didn't make $1.3 billion because it was a Nintendo property. It made $1.3 billion because it's Mario. And Nintendo has no other Mario. So I honestly don't know that. I mean, hey, take a shot at doing it. Why not? But it's not going to have the level of success. If you make a Crash Bandicoot movie, it does not make a $1.3 billion. It'll be lucky if it makes $200 million. I mean, I'm saying what it is. So, all right, what's next?
We got, hello there, says, hi, John and crew. I got a monthly subscription for Sling TV to watch the World Series and notice they offer ad tier day, weekend and full week passes. Prices seem reasonable. Down a little bit. Do you think this is a model streaming service could adopt in the future?
I'm not quite sure what it is he's saying. He's saying
ad
that
tier day, weekend, and full week passes.
So you can watch Sling TV for free, but wait, Sling TV has ads and commercials in it.
Yeah, ad tier day.
Like YouTube TV, Hulu Live TV, Sling TV, all the ads are baked in, so I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
Maybe he just means you can get it for like a day, a week, or you know what I mean? You can get passes for a specific time periods.
Oh, I get it. So like, I only want to get Sling TV while the World Series
So you
is
get
on.
it for a month. Or, well, that would be a month. But like sometimes there's things that are just on a weekend, so you can get a 2-day pass.
That's like a la carting it. That's not a bad idea. If that's what you mean, yeah, I could see them doing something like that. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I like that. All right, what's next?
Yeah, and also, let's see. I think I was looking at Edward Zwick here on IMDb. It says 2001 nominee Oscar for Best Picture for Traffic, and then 99 winner Best Picture Shakespeare in Love. But that wasn't. But then again, those were just what he was involved in, not.
I was going to say he didn't direct Shakespeare in Love, did he?
So as a producer, so that's what
Okay.
happened. Yeah, because he's producing too.
Still, prolific filmmaker.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, would you rather... Oh, no, we read that because it bumped up. So this is our final of the tips.
All right, great.
Sin Vendetta. My biggest fear with HBO potentially being sold is that the new Harry Potter show could possibly be messed up or canceled.
No. There's too much money already sunk into it. Not
It's a
happening.
massive IP. I've been waiting for this show for 20 plus years, and I'd be gutted if the show was cut short because of the sale. No, that wouldn't happen. They would keep that team in place.
Yeah, so here's the thing about it. when, let me use a sports analogy just for a second. Let's say I'm a professional football player and I sign a contract with Miami Dolphins that will pay me $10 million a year for 3 years. Now, after I sign that contract, let's say somebody else buys the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
My contract is still good.
Yeah, they don't just scrap the whole
Doesn't
team.
matter who owns the Miami Dolphins. I have a contract with Miami Dolphins. Doesn't matter who owns it. I have that contract. And when you buy something, you inherit all the legal agreements that are attached to it. For example, if you go to buy a house, I used to work a little bit in real estate law before I was working in personal or small litigation. But if you buy a house, you got to get somebody to really research the house to make sure there's no company that has a lien or a debt associated with the home. Because if you buy the house from somebody, and let's say the person who owned the house before you signed a $20,000 contract to install solar panels, that goes with the house. And if they still owe $10,000 on those solar panels, guess what? When you buy the house, you owe that $10,000. So whoever takes over Warner Brothers, they're taking over all the existing contracts as well. They've already budgeted the money for this series. They've already shooting this series. They're doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to unfold the way it was going to unfold, whether Warner Brothers got sold or not. So it's now, listen, the first 2 seasons could be a disaster and nobody watches it and it becomes a ratings dud. And then they just decide not to make the continuing. That's all possible, but that would happen even if Warner Brothers doesn't get taken over. So Warner Brothers getting taken over will not affect the Harry Potter series at this point. So you can at least breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief on that.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us interesting things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett for being here. Our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, go Jays, go.